I've heard some people say that the Bible is the only source of morality in our world.
I do.
Really? Well, let's look at that. Leviticus 24:14 says that believers are supposed to murder blasphemers because God will not be disrespected. Or rather, the prophets and clergymen pretending to speak for God will not allow anyone to call out their bullshit.
I do.
That means that everyone in this audience need to be careful out among the believers. Need I remind you that there's a Christian group aboard this ship, and they outnumber us 2-1. Don't worry, Christians don't read the Old Testament. Good thing, too, because Ezekiel 18:4 says to kill anyone who sins. Now, while we would say that there's no such thing as sin, because that word has no consistent definition, Christians have a different view. The New Testament implies that everyone is a sinner except for Jesus. So if they think that we're all sinners, whatever that means, and they admit that they're all sinners too, and you have to kill all the sinners, then I guess everyone everywhere is going to be murdered by some believer out there. Especially since Isaiah 14:21 says to kill the sons of sinners, to punish children for the sins of their fathers. Even though Deuteronomy 24:16 says that children should not be put to death because of their fathers, here it says that they must be.
My expectation was that the God of the Old Testament would be at least somewhat consistent with the God of the New Testament in how he treats human beings. The problem is that the God of the Old Testament appears to be incredibly bloodthirsty. For example, the slaughter of the Canaanites. There are many instances where God says to kill all of the Canaanites when they attack a village. We call this the ban. The problem here, obviously, is the murder of the innocent, for example, the women and children. Why do they need to be murdered? Are we to assume that all of these people are guilty? Now, a lot of people will rationalize and say, it was a wicked people group, they had to die, but it seems obvious from the text.
I cannot believe how incredibly stupid the Christians are. I can remember hearing from my Christian teachers, my preacher, the reason Israelites killed all the women and children was to prevent what's happening today in Palestine. You got all those angry, bitter, hateful Palestinians trying to kill Israelites, refusing to live in peace. Well, if Israel had spared the women and children, they would have done the same thing to ancient Israel that Palestine is doing to Israel today. Those children, don't you think those children growing up without a father, knowing they live in the land of Israel, that it was Israel's government that killed their dads, and they had to watch their moms cry. Don't you think these children would grow up to want to kill or be a bite to Israelites? Don't you think these children would have grown up, and when Israel went to war again, these children would have joined the enemies of the Israelites and fought against Israel? Don't you think these women would have intermarried with these Israelite men? And you remember these women worship false gods. Don't you think they would have gotten these Israelite men to worship Baal, whatever the hell you call them, Ashtoreth, and gotten people to stop worshiping God? You see, that is why God commanded them to kill everybody. Women, children. But don't feel bad for the children. They had not reached the age of accountability, so they're in heaven now, praising God. That's of course those Calvinists, what they say is true. That children are vipers in diapers. Is a baby cobra any less venomous than an adult cobra? But the only problem I have, why did God make Israel do all God's dirty work? If God wanted these people killed, why didn't he do it his damn self?